Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you so much for this day, dear Lord. And I just thank you for each person up here on this board that is donating their time to come up here to try to make our city a better place to live. Dear Lord, just be with each and every one of us. Let us make the decisions that we need to make. And dear Lord, just be with us, protect us, and guide us in everything that we do. In Christ's name I pray. Amen. Amen. Show me the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to introduce our new member, Shannon Croker. He's going to be taking Tony Sutton's place. Y'all will give him a welcome. All right, next thing on the agenda is approval of our November 17th, 2014 regular meeting. I have a motion to approve. Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Approved. First thing on the agenda, new business, is a public hearing to hear the public opinion of an application for a variance to allow a storage building to remain in the front yard at 7513 Chester Road, map 47, parcel 30.00. Paul and Etta, is that right? Etta McMahon, owners. Do you have anybody in the audience that has any about the storage shed? Public opinion? All right, we'll close the public hearing and go on to the agenda. Discuss and take action on a procedural error in the conduct of the October 27, 2014 meeting. Request a variance filed by Vicky Baker at 7513 Chester Road to allow a storage building to remain in the front yard of map 47, parcel 300.00, Paul and Anna McMahon owners. During our last meeting, we had a wrong vote, and we had to re-vote again. So, what we had voted on before was that we had went and looked at the storage shed and seen that it had adequate room to be put in the back of the house instead of in the front yard. Do we have a motion to vote?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
may I offer one comment?
Yes, sir.
You can have the public hearing. You don't have to, you're not bound by the last vote because it's invalid. So you can in essence conduct a whole new public hearing, or if everybody's familiar with it, I'm sure that Commissioner Crutcher's not, so you might want to just conduct a whole new hearing, because what the problem was with the last meeting with the vote, and it wasn't any bad intention by Vice Mayor. He, I think my memory is correct. I found out later he made a motion on the to approve the item on the floor, and he also voted on it. You have some committees that the person that's appointed from the board or from another board are full participating members. This particular one, the person appointed from the board is an ex officio member, which means they can completely participate in all the discussions, ask any questions they want. They just can't make motions or make votes. And that's the reason we had to do it. The only way to cure it was just have another hearing.
Actually, he didn't vote, he just seconded it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Seconded.
Yeah. And that in essence shouldn't have been also. So it was a second rather than an actual motion or a vote. So.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. I stand corrected. I was going from memory, but if he seconded it, you've got an invalid motion on the floor. So the only way to cure it is have another hearing.
Okay. Do you have any discussion?
You want to bring Mr. Crutcher up to speed?
Mr. Crutcher, what it was is we had a shed in the front yard, which is against regulations or zoning. So we went back over there, and a few of us went and looked at the backyard to see if it was adequate for the storage shed to be put in the back instead of in the front. And there is adequate room to be put in the back on the side yard to be put in the back. So what we're gonna do now is just vote on whether or not to allow the variance or deny the variance. So do I have a motion? I'll make a motion to deny the variance, that we put the shed back in the backyard where it's adequate to be put.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
One opposed? 3, 4. Motion denied.
There's one other part of that. I think we had given her a 60-day window
Right.
to have the building relocated. I believe that was correct. Was it 60 days? Does that
60
sound
days,
correct?
correct?
I'd like to amend the motion to approve that.
60 more days.
60 days to relocate the shed.
All right. They put in the minutes that will give us 60 more days to move the shed.
I believe that's in the form of a new motion, you'd have to vote on
You
it.
have to vote on it.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to make sure that you said the motion was denied, but
I mean,
the
the
variance was denied,
Yes,
the motion
variance was
passed.
denied, I'm sorry. So we need to re-vote on that again?
No, you
With
just
the-
need to vote on the 60 days, that's a
Okay.
separate motion, need a second and a
I'll
vote.
make a motion to give her the 60 days. Is that a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carried. Next thing on the agenda is a public hearing for the opinion of an application for a variance to allow a storage shed building to be installed near the side and the back property lines than the required 5 feet at 7906 Pinecrest Lane, map 43C, A, parcel 34.00, William F. Roxanne, M, and I'm gonna mess this last name up, if somebody can help me. Okay. I'll let you say it. Owners. Do we have anybody that you want to step up?
I do have some pictures, if you don't mind if I...
Sure.
Just, yeah, okay.
I'm requesting a variance to put a shed in the northeast, the very back corner of my backyard. My house has, I guess, what they call a walkout, and so therefore, the property from one side of the house to the other, there's a difference slope-wise of about 10 feet. And so to try to put a shed on that slope is a very difficult task. And I took a look at the property, and the uppermost corner is the most level I can get it. Now, I would rather have had like a 12 by 16 shed, but that would mean that I would have a concrete wall of about 4 feet on one side of it. So now in putting it in the very corner and limiting it to a 10 by 10, it would give me a lot less of a slope. Now, because of the slope though, also the property carries and channels a lot of water. And if you look at some of the pictures of the water that is being pushed through there, I've had to manually dig, expand a ditch to allow the water to go into the storm sewers. I've actually had to rototill a channel in my backyard itself to, again, channel all the water coming up from my neighbors through my yard back into the storm sewer. So the land at the very bottom doesn't really, because it's always moist because of all the water going across it, doesn't really lend itself to putting a shed on that moist surface. So basically that's what I have. So I picked the uppermost back corner to put the shed based on those two reasons. I have one of my neighbors here supporting the variance. I also have a letter from my other neighbor. Her and her husband signed this supporting the variance also, and if you wanted to see it.
Are there any other comments for the, Any more comments?
Oh, William Dolatowski, 7906 Pinecrest Lane, Fairview.
Yes, sir.
My name's Keith George. I'm the neighbor, one of his neighbors, where this storage shed is wanting to be built. I don't support it. I think it could be moved to meet the setback requirements, 5 feet, and I think it's detrimental to my property value myself. So that's all I have to say about it.
Okay. Any more public
Where do
discussion?
I live?
If not, we'll close the public hearing and open up our meeting to discuss and take action on a procedural error in the conduct for the building to be installed, storage building to be installed near the side and the back lot of the property lines than required in the 5 feet of 7906 Pinecrest Lane. Mr. Williams?
Yes, sir.
If you was to move that 5 more feet off the line, front and back, how much exactly in the front would you have to raise that building?
I would have to raise the building probably another foot, but the problem I have is that I have 3 trees there. And so if I try to bring it 5 feet out, I now have to contend with these large 50-foot trees. And I would have to cut them down to make a path where I could actually move anything in and out of it.
Is that on the front side of the front side of the building where it's gonna be is where the trees are?
Yes.
So how are you gonna get the building back in that back corner if the trees are in the way?
Well, in between, if I move it 5 feet this way and 5 feet this way, my path to the door opening would be in the middle of those trees. When I have it set back, I have a path in between 2 trees to line myself up to, because I have to put a ramp up there to ramp up into there. So I have a path there where it's in the corner, but if I move it out 5 feet one way and 5 feet the next, then I don't have that.
Looking at photos 5 and 6 that you submitted to us, from the looks of both of these photos, there appears to me to be a clear access without water irrigation. I'm not seeing any of the trenching that you referenced here, but both of these photos would indicate to me that there's an optional place to locate this shed. Sure, absolutely. That looks like a fairly clear opening, and you can see the water. I think this was one of your irrigation problems here, but this looks like a fairly open space to me to locate that. Not only that, but accessible through the driveway.
I just looked at going to approximately that area in the middle of the backyard, if that's what you're referring to, and that would mean that I'm 3.5 feet on one side high. The slope is a little bit steeper there, in the back of the property, about, I think, where you were referring to, and that would allow me, be on the ground on one side and 3.5 feet on the other side.
Unless
I
that,
did try to do a measurement there.
okay.
Now, if we were gonna do it right from my driveway, let's say, right off of my driveway before the trench, then that would make the shed visible to the street and basically almost be considered in my front yard, which I really did not want to do. I wanted to put it in the back corner, kind of away from everything, where I think a shed should be. When you're on the street, you say, "Oh, look, there's a shed right there." So I want to kind of keep that away.
Well, these photos must be a little deceiving then, because it doesn't look like it's that sloped in photos 5 and 6 that you've shown.
Yeah, I mean, it's from one side of the house to the other is at 9.5 feet, just from where the house sits, because I measured the brick and I found the brick from the top of the roof on both sides to where the ground is on one side versus where it is on the opposite side of the house. I'm 9.5 feet off the ground. So It slopes just from the house to the house. The ground slopes 9.5 feet. Then it slopes even more beyond that.
Are you going, or is the shed going on the left side of the house, if you're looking at the back of it?
If you look at the back, the left side, towards the back. If you look at the front of the house, it's the back right front. And with various things that we have in place there, it's, a little bit more hidden, a little hard to see.
And how wide is the shed?
Shed is 10 by 10, very small.
Mr. Humber, the 5-foot, that's a right-of-way for city in case we need to get in and do anything along those lines? Is that the purpose, the primary purpose of the 5-foot inset from property lines? Is that for a city right-of-way sort of, or for whatever?
In a lot of cases, there are easements that property lines split, and you have an easement on one property, but in this case, there's not. But the 5 feet is really just not, so it's not right next to someone else's property, so that, well, it can be properly maintained without getting on somebody else's property and things like that. So, it's just sort of like in my experience, it's been, that's pretty standard.
Can I ask where you live?
I live right next to him.
Can you show me on this map?
His name is, well, I know his name's Tony, but I guess that's his middle name. His first name apparently is Keith. I did not know that.
Well, no, this is a little confusing from the top.
Okay, here's his house and here's the back. And he's wanting to put it back here.
Yeah,
Where do you
it's-
live?
My property's right there. I mean, it's about 6 inches off the line.
No, I mean, which house are you in?
It's this one. It's right here. It's right in this.
Okay.
It's, yeah.
Show us all.
This is my house here. Right in this, I mean, right in the corner.
So you're wanting to put it back here on the, as you're facing the house to the right, is that correct?
My next question.
Is that where the trampoline is now? I drove by your house, is that where that little trampoline's sitting now?
There is a trampoline in his property.
Oh, that's in your property, okay, okay, sorry about that,
Faces Dyson Avenue.
okay.
My house faces
I have a question for you. When you said facing from the road, you want to put it in the back corner back here so you couldn't see it from the road? Is his property the one that you could see clearly from his property to the new storage location? Because to hide it from you, but to put it in clear view of your neighbor, I think that's what he's trying to say. And that, I just want to make sure that that's right.
Yeah.
Because if you're just trying to hide it so everybody doesn't know that you have a shed behind there, including yourself, but apparently he may look like he has one on his property and it's on yours.
I don't have a problem necessarily with someone knowing that I have a shed.
Right, the
but
location
I've
is what I'm
always
talking
thought
about.
that the shed should be in the backyard, okay?
Well, we require it to be in the backyard.
Yeah, and the position of the shed is solely based on the fact of the slope of the land and where it's at high ground. It's simply that, based on the topology.
Can I ask, if you set it 5 foot off the line in the back and on the side, you got a 10-foot wide building, in 10 feet, how much is that gonna raise with one side being, say, 4 inches off the ground?
Right now, one side is 12 inches, the other side is 18 inches. So if I bring that out this way and this way, I'm adding probably about another foot or so to the height of that from 18 inches, probably to around 28. And then from the 12 inches, probably somewhere about 15 or 16 inches. So, I end up having 30 inches of wall on that. But in doing so, where I have everything located, including sprinkler systems to the, if I move 5 feet and 5 feet, I'm on top of my sprinkler system. And I also have to cut down at least one tree that is within that, or very close to that 5 feet of that shed.
Usually, when we grant a variance, it's if there's no other possible way to put the shed in, I mean, any possible way. But what you're telling me is that you can cut down one tree, move it forward, and it's not gonna be that much off the ground. If you wanna see one off the ground, go look at mine at my house, because I've got, it's way up in one corner. So it can be done, and it can be made to work. So you're saying you can cut one tree down and move it forward and make it work. It'll be a little bit higher off the ground, but in essence, it'll still work, correct?
Yeah, I think for the most part, it would. I would think, though, that I'd probably have to cut down trees, but I think that if I cut down those 2 trees, one is, keep in mind, one is this 50-some foot tree, about this big on the bottom, that I could do it, but keep in mind that the wall on that side would be, 3 feet high. And it would be getting water from the neighbors up above.
By moving it,
Because I filter all their water.
by moving it
passes
5
in
foot
my-
up, you're gonna get so much water
I'm
that,
not saying so much.
but I
I'm
mean,
saying
what I'm saying
more water.
is by moving it up 5 foot, you're talking about you're gonna get a whole lot of water.
I'm saying I'm gonna get more water, I'm not saying it's a whole
Okay,
lot. I'm
but
saying that I.
If there's that much water going through that area,
Yeah.
5 foot ain't gonna make no difference.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm at the highest point of my property, I can't do any better of staying away from the water as I am today.
Okay.
So that's all I'm really saying.
Mr. Doltowski, would you mind coming up here for just a second for clarification on these photos? That was taken from your deck, correct? Right? And then this was the same shot, correct?
Yeah.
Or basically the same shot, right?
Right, yeah.
So as we're looking at that, we're basically standing here looking out this way, and then that gully
Right.
basically runs up there, right? So you see what I'm getting at when I say this area here doesn't look to be that sloped,
Right.
right in here?
Yeah.
What size shed are we talking about?
10 by 10.
I mean, to me, unless this is a very deceiving photo, it looks to me like you would be unimpeded to locate it here, still be within the back confines of your property.
Right, it would, right, except the one wall would be of about a foot higher, because I did put out a 2x4, and I checked it, and I'm at about 30-some inches on the bottom wall.
So you'd have a foot variance if you leveled the shed.
Right, I have an extra foot on the one side. In addition
Yeah.
to that, all the water from half my property from up above would now be passing through that.
Well, it looks like it, well, keep in mind, I'm talking about right here. This area right here, I mean, you clearly have a lot of water coming down through here now,
Right.
through here and here, but this area doesn't seem to be, it doesn't seem to have a lot of water right here, and that's where I'm talking about.
Right, well.
Which is,
that's-
coincides with
right,
this.
Well, that's a little, yeah, it's actually a little bit lower than that.
Yeah.
And that's where, part of that I have my sprinkler system, and part of that I have drains that run underneath the ground. I didn't put them there before, that run underneath the ground to take some of the water and push it toward that trench or that source. So that area right there is where I know I have one line right here, and I think I have several lines going this way, and I have at least one of the main lines going right in between this street and this propane tank.
What kind of line is that, a drainage line?
Drain line, my 6-inch drainage line, they had put a drain off the top corner of my property, okay?
Is it buried, is it a?
Yes,
Is it
no, it's buried like 6 or 8 inches down, and.
perforated pipe, what is it solid pipe?
No,
And does it,
it's not perforated, but it is flexible pipe.
so where does it come to daylight then? Where does that pipe come to daylight?
It comes right out into that trench area that I've expanded.
Over here?
Because- Right. All this was underwater when I first got there at the house. 25 feet, 30 feet was all underwater. When I expanded this trench out, then it allowed to push enough water to, that doesn't stay underwater. It's still wet, it's still moist, but it's not underwater anymore.
Okay. Oh, one other question, I'm sorry, do you mind coming back for just a second? Sure. Yeah. So, and this would be from the driveway looking back, is that correct?
No, well, no.
Is that what this is?
This one here is just showing, from the deck, straight back. So it's right in the
that-
center of the house.
Is that the tree that you're referring to that would have to be removed
No.
in this picture?
No. If you go, I don't know if I have
wait
it
here.
from higher up in the back, but I have, a big tree on the property line, and another large tree that is the one I would have to cut, and then I have a smaller tree here. If I go 5 feet here and 5 feet here, these two trees, I'll be so close to the shed, I'd have to cut them, because I would hit any kind of roots or anything if I just put in like a rat wall to dig up. There's no way I could do that there.
Where is this in proximity to this?
This tree here is this tree here.
That's that tree?
Yeah.
Okay. That is that. Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay.
Did you guys see these?
Part of them, I didn't see what you were just looking at.
Sure.
I didn't bring any pictures because it's media. This is this is my property. This is from my deck. This is where he's wanting to place it. If you can see the little stake, that's a property marker. That's a property line.
What is that?
It's this. If I'm standing on the line, I can touch it right here. That's how close.
What is that right there?
Is that some sort of pad?
Yeah.
That's there already.
Right.
I've got to deal with that already. So.
Yeah, because
That
they
pad's
had indicated that I could put a pad anywhere on the property without a problem. I talked to the inspector, so.
You can put a concrete pad right next to the property line?
Is that correct, Mr. Humber?
What's that?
Yes, you can, because it's very similar to a driveway then.
Now, where's the?
Was that
where's the shed
concrete
going?
pad intended to put your shed on?
What's going on in that place?
There's like a little wall, you know, it's laying right on the property line. It's almost.
So you've already got the pad where you want the shed?
9 inches off the line.
What were you saying, Mr. Humber?
Well,
If
you
you
know,
stretch
you
it,
put
that shed's supposed to come out.
a pad, you could put a concrete pad anywhere on your property. But you can't put a structure on it. I mean,
So why would you put a concrete pad if you didn't have an intention for something else?
In theory, I could do something else with it if I choose, but that whole area, was just really a bad area to do almost anything with. So it was dirt and everything like that. So I figured, well, it's not gonna hurt anything. Plus, I wanted to try to beat the weather, the winter.
So you paid money to have a concrete pad put on?
No, I just did it myself.
think so.
It was
Okay.
very expensive, so.
Okay.
That's the pad he's got for the phone.
Where's the property line?
Right there.
And,
It's on it.
West of the pad, by about 1.5 feet, is one of my sprinkler lines, and a sprinkler head.
And so this is from his deck?
Yeah,
This is his
property.
deck here?
I want to see it again when you get your phone back.
Right
Gotcha.
back behind that
Just to put that
pad, on that pad.
and face it out that way. So the pad you poured, you intended to put the building on?
Yes, sir.
So the pad's level now?
Yeah.
Well, I don't believe I'm seeing enough compelling evidence or hardship that would make me want to grant the variance. It looks to me that there are some other locations you could conceivably put this that wouldn't be too burdensome.
He's already poured his pad. I
Well-
think that's the ticket, you put the cart before the horse. And somebody here to complain about it.
Yeah.
Personally, I wouldn't want it that close to my property line.
Well, you know, the interesting thing is, I was talking to Tony while I was doing this. I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with Tony. We've had no issues in the last, like, 8 years. I was talking to him outside when I was doing it. He never mentioned anything about there being an issue. I wouldn't have thought there was an issue. It surprises me to hear that. You would think that if your neighbors, who you talk to periodically, okay? I mean, he's a little bit younger than me, so we don't spend a lot of time together, but neighbors who talk to each other, I was sitting there pouring the pad. I was making the frame. I was pouring the pad while he was standing 3 feet away from me talking to me.
Well, hold on just a second.
Oh.
Hold on
Sir,
just a second.
sir.
You were pouring the pad before you got a variance anyway, so that's my problem. You already have the pad poured, then you come ask for a variance
Well,
to put your building
but-
there.
But I
So-
didn't have the pad. Yeah, no, I didn't
Yeah,
have
it's,
the
it's
pad.
in concrete right now, and you're standing before me, so the pad's poured, the concrete's in, and now you want a variance,
But that's
and,
not the time frame. The time frame was, I came and got the variance, and when the gentleman told me, well, you can go ahead and put a pad, because you put a pad anywhere.
a pad is one thing, a building on top of the pad's another. That's what we're here for. You could put that pad, a driveway all the way back, a pad all the way back, that's what I'm
That's all
saying.
I've done.
Right, well, you did it backwards. The problem I have is you can put that pad all you want to, but that's what it is. It's a pad.
It's a pad.
When you change your mind and you say, I want to put a building on top of that, you have to go by what the variance says you can go by, 5 feet off the line. You're here to say you want to move it over a little closer because it benefits you because you've already poured your pad. That's what I'm seeing.
Okay,
So, that's my point.
okay.
All right.
Okay, let's close the discussion.
All
We'll
right.
make a vote.
Make a motion to deny the variance.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Denied? Sir.
Pictures maybe, right?
Thank you.
Have a motion to adjourn? Have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Adjourn. Thank y'all very much.